Hey everybody, welcome to 3-Day Weekend. You got Chris here today, and I've got provolone up on the lift. That's my 2020 RZR PRO XP. And I'm going to pull the skid plate off it today because I've never had it off. And I'm sure it's got tons of mud because it's not draining so good. And it is awfully droopy and saggy and cracked. So I'm going to check for damage, just kind of clean it up. So let's get that pulled up. So the biggest thing here is just to have it held up by the suspension, not by the frame. This is skid plate covers the frame. We're gonna pull out a bunch of 10mm bolts. I'm gonna start unscrewing them and I'll give you a final count. Fifteen bolts hold this on. Once you get them out, you just kind of go to the front and pull it down. So here's the front, and I just kind of push down. There's a clamp that snaps onto the bottom of the frame. So I'm going to push down on this side right here, and the whole thing should fall off. Okay, fell down in the front, but it's still stuck in the back. Let's see what's going on. It's being awfully stubborn. Something is catching all the way up in the back corner there and there. And I just haven't been able to figure out how to release it yet. I'm worried that it's in the bolt for the trailing arm, but I'm not sure. However, the front of it is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I figured from draining, those would be all full. But it's not bad. It really isn't. Alright, I'm going to get back to it. I rinsed it out, looked around, and this back spot here is hooked around the frame like that. So the farther this goes down, the harder and harder it hooks. So I'm going to lift the front up, and then hopefully I'll be able to pull the back down. That's the plan. You gotta push it back and up all at the same time. And it's down. Whew! Well, that part sucked. Now the front's off, I'm just going to pop the back off as well. And that's held on by 4 10mm bolts. I've been spraying this thing out forever. I think I got all the mud tucked in, all in here, around there. There's a little plate and it hangs out on top of it. And then there was a bunch up in there and in here. Same on the other side, so that's all rinsed out. So I think I got it. There is no damage to the bottom of the machine that I can find. which is good and surprising because there's a pretty good hole in the skid plate right here. So I'm gonna flip that over. And I've got myself a Harbor Freight special plastic welder. I'm gonna see if I can make it better. I'll replace the whole skid plate with something later. I'm looking at the Tusk Quiet Glide. I had it on my old machine, the old Wildcat. I don't know, maybe I could patch up that hole just in the meantime. I'm no expert, but I'd say that's good enough for a temporary, permanent, hopefully temporary, but probably permanent repair. Seems to be pretty rigid. Obviously, first rock that hits it'll probably break it again. I even went a little step further and melted in a little piece of 1/2 inch fencing. And just pushed on it. Oh, it's still hot. Pushed on it so it melted into the skid plate. Hopefully give it a little strength right on those corners. So we'll see. I'd say that's good enough. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get it back on the machine by myself. This could get tricky. Holy cow, that's a pain. So here's what you do. You find your seat. So you can sit under it. Oh good, it's covered in water. What you do is, with the front still hanging down, you put these rear up in. Clip, clip, and push them. And they'll latch right on. And it doesn't really want to come back out. But if you let it hang, it'll fall out. So I had to put one bolt loose in the middle. And that held it. So I go up to the front and you just kind of move around and they fall back into place. But that was difficult by myself. You can hear that I'm winded. So that's what you gotta do. Now I'm gonna get the back one in place next before I put any bolts in, because you're gonna need to slide it around just a little bit and kind of fine tune it. Also, we were looking for a lubrication point earlier, and it is in this slot. You can get to it on the prop shaft. One grease fitting, but you can get to it through there. All right, let me throw this rear one on. And I'll get to tighten down the rest of them. It's in! Yay! It looks just as wavy as it did when I took it off. Ooh. And I guess the dealership puts on skid plates. I'm not sure exactly, but they messed up these 3 bolts. They go in a little crooked. Not a fan of that. If I replace it, it'll fix it, but kind of stuck with it for now. And my little welded seam is right there, and it appears to be the lowest spot in the entire skid plate, so should test it pretty soon. But yeah, it's on. All in all, I would say I thought there'd be more mud piled onto it. The last machine I had would pack up solid, 1 or 2 inch solid mud. This one wasn't that bad, really. So, if I were gonna do it again, I'd either winch the machine up onto its side so you can get to the whole side of it, or use a taller lift. Or invite a friend over and trick them into helping me. Because that was a pain under there. I love this lift, but my garage roof won't let me have anything taller. It's great for working on wheels and suspensions and stuff, but if you gotta work on something directly underneath, it's miserable. I need another one of those chairs on a low frame, and then I'll be able to scoot under there. But I digress. There it is, it's done. Now we've successfully been able to take a skid plate off and put it back on. So thank you so much for watching. If you feel like I earned it, give me a thumbs up, really appreciate it. Don't forget to click right over here on our little button, subscribe to the channel, and while you're here, check out some of our other videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on 3 Day Weekend.